David Baye here from MuscularDevelopment.com. We're down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for the 2013 NPC National Championships. Hanging out here with light heavyweight competitor Ty Wright and his coach, somebody you guys know very well, IFBB Pro Don Long. Ty, a few years since you've been on the national stage. Last time we saw you was the 2011 North Americans. You got 6th place, just outside the top 5, so a very respectable placing. Coming here 2 years later, what's some of the differences we can look at seeing?
Well, you can see more size. You're going to see more definitions, more of everything. It's more of me now. So thanks to Coach Long, he brought me a long way in a short period of time. So I'm very happy with it. So.
And how long have you been working with Don?
About a year and a half now. A year and a half now. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Don, when you saw Ty, what are some of the things that you said as far as, hey, this is a game plan, improvements we need to make, some things we need to change coming into nationals? Obviously, if you placed 6th at the North Americans, prior to your help, you've got a solid base to work with. It has to be nice for you, but there's always room for improvement at any level. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things you've done with Ty.
Yeah, he has he has a very balanced physique, but he did have some weak areas, and we focused on that with my touch-up training program, building up his shoulders, making him more wider, thickening up his chest and things like that. But overall, just bringing in a better conditioning than what he has in the past. That's what you'll see from the past, So.
Now, Ty, you've been competing for quite some time. You guys are. We were just talking about this before we did the interview. I think I'm 34. He looks younger than me, I think. How long have you been competing?
Probably 25 plus years.
You started in?
I started in when I was 16 years old. A small gym started me in bodybuilding way back when, back in '87. I did my first show.
87 was your first show?
I was 16 years old. Yep, 16 years old. And then started competing in local shows and I was about to do the Nationals, but I didn't have no sponsorship. I didn't know too much about it, so that kind of didn't put me, didn't got me where I wanted to go at. So, but I kept on competing though.
Now, Don, when you get somebody that's been training and competing for as long as he has, he's been in the gym for a long time. He knows the movements he needs to do to train and to put on size and to muscle. So, it's got to be an extra challenge taking somebody, when you get with somebody who's 21, 22, pretty fresh. You can kind of mold them and build them around that. But somebody who's been training that long, what do you do? Is it any different than picking up with the 22-year-old?
On the athlete, that's the key thing. He was open. You have to be open. You have to say, okay, forget what I know. It's all on you now. It's all on me now. So, and that's what he was able to do. He has the knowledge and experience of training for years. But we, at the same time, you can always learn something new. And he was willing, open to, like I said, let me teach him some things about training even, and then of course, about nutrition and things like that. And so he was just an open door. Rather than trying to be stubborn and say that I've been doing this for years, I know everything. Then you come to me for a reason, and then he allowed me to do my work. It's just that simple. And when someone just allows the coach to do the work, and then but at the same time, with someone who's been training this long, you feed off of them and ask them about themselves also, to try to understand where they've been at, where they come from, how did they get to this point, and then we analyze that and put 2 and 2 together. You see, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you bring up, him being open to new things. I know some older guys, even from my area, they talk about, I need to come in better shape for this show, but they're from that era where it's like, I don't want to work with somebody, and there's nothing wrong, obviously, with somebody doing their own diet, learning their own body, but is that something that you see on a regular basis? Guys who are a little bit older saying, hey, I've been competing for a long time, I think I got this down pat, but I still need to make changes.
Oh yeah, I definitely see that. But like I said, a lot of times when I do take on a guy, right from the start, I need to have that kind of commitment that you're willing to let me work with. Because especially when you start getting guys who've been at this national level before and they've placed well, but once again, they hadn't just got that #1 spot yet. I mean, of course, even Pete Ciccone, I just helped him, and he's going to be competing for years. He threw everything, and he's worked with great coaches, Hani and so on. He just threw everything out the door, to a certain degree, and allowed me to take over. And it's just that simple. You have to be willing to just say, okay, I got to put it in your hands. You're just like a basketball coach is going to run the team. I'll run the team, and I'll make sure. Once again, I'll take the responsibility if something goes wrong. Also, So.
Well, that's a trust that has to be in that relationship between between a client and a coach. That we unfortunately sometimes we don't see it a lot these days. Working for MD, I talk with a lot of guys, and you'd be surprised how many guys I'm working with this coach, but this guy's whispering in my ear, and you can't have it. There's 100 different ways to get ready for a show, but when you pick a trainer, you got to pick one and roll with it. it. Now, like I said, you'd been training for a long time. Obviously, you know, had been experienced in the weight room. You know, you got 6 at the North American, so you had a really good base. But what are some of the things that Don did different with you? You know, you start with Don and he says, hey, I'm going to have you do this. And you're like, oh, man, I didn't really think of that.
Well, what Don did was he gave me the best experience on the nutrition part of it, because I was either overeating or undereating. So he put it right with a good baseline so I can grow and get leaner at the same time. So I kept my size, and that was the main key. And it kept everything coming up. All the weak body parts helped. He helped the weak body parts out a lot.
He used to like to do a ton of cardio, even in his off season. So we had to cut some of that back and things like that to allow it once again his body to put on more muscle. You know,
well, that's got to be a nice thing when you start with a coach and he says less cardio.
I was happy with that, you know, because I'm a cardio. I love cardio. So, but he told me to cut back on too much. You know, I was doing too much.
That's a good thing to be able to do. So, all right, man. Well, we're gonna let you get going here. We're gonna wrap it up, and we got a bunch of other people out here we're gonna get interviews with, but we thank you for the interview. Best of luck from myself and everybody at musculardevelopment.com. This is David Baye with NPC light heavyweight Ty Wright, IFBB pro Don Long for musculardevelopment.com at the 2013 NPC National Championships.